Ungovernable, The Political Diaries of a Chief Whip, written and read by Simon Hart. For Abigail, Adam and Nell. Proximity to power deludes some into thinking that they wield it. Francis Underwood, House of Cards. Preface. I need to get a couple of things straight from the start. This is a contemporaneous diary, written as events happened and as I saw them at the time. The original diaries cover 6 journals containing over 200,000 words, all handwritten in illegible scrawl, often late at night, and which, when looking back with the benefit of hindsight, often seem comic. That's why real diaries are a rarity, especially when they cover political events that unfold so quickly. They're hard work, and you sometimes feel like a fool when you reread them several years later. My initial plan was to note down interesting and amusing anecdotes, partly as a confession and an apology to my family for the prolonged periods of absence, secrecy, and fatigue-induced curtness they tolerated with such patience and good humour. Now they serve as a record of what turned out to be an extraordinary time in British politics, and a glimpse behind the curtain of what truly goes on in Westminster, and especially what happened during the last 4.5 years. My diaries also cover an aspect of politics that is rarely reported accurately, the Whip's office. So it is for Whips past and future that I try to put the record straight. Some will be sceptical about me doing this at all. They may argue either that this is a breach of a long-established custom, that chief whips don't write books, or that, having maintained relative anonymity all these years, no one will care what I think anyway. Both are valid concerns, which I try to address throughout the book. Where people have stumbled across difficult times, it is not my intention to make things worse, or to breach confidences that existed between them and the Whip's office. As I've often observed, most misdemeanours are the result of normal human frailties, rather than intentional malevolence. That said, part of the reason for this book is to record just how problematic government has become, for all parties, and how a relatively small cohort of people, in our case, knowingly made things so hard that what tiny chances we had of a 5th term were extinguished. I believe that shining a light on that, and the reasons for it, is an essential step in minimising the risk of it happening again. In addition, much of what is written about the role of the Whip's office is wrong. What it does, how it does it, how we recruit its occupants, and the influence it has are frequently exaggerated or fabricated. I jokingly blame the author and politician Michael Dobbs. In creating the mythical Chief Whip Francis Urquhart in his 1989 novel House of Cards and its 1990 TV adaptation, and later Frank Underwood in the Netflix version, he subjected all subsequent chiefs to unfavourable comparisons. For this reason, Michael and I have become good friends, and have spent many happy hours laughing together about the almost invisible line between his 1970s imaginary vision of the Whip's office and my 21st century real one. As Chief Whip, I met my opposite number, as well as representatives of the other parties, every week. We talked in complete confidence about the week's business, the pinch points, and of course had a good gossip about the latest pickle that some of our members had got themselves into. The relationship is so important and so discreet that there are things I shared with my opposite number, Alan Campbell, that I would never have dared to share with my own side. But as he put it, we operate to a political equivalent of the Geneva Convention. In other words, it's all-out war, conducted to a set of rules. And rather worryingly, I was one of the few recent chiefs to have survived an entire premiership. The fact that there have been 11 of us since 2010 demonstrates the pace at which we burn through what political capital we have. I've kept a diary since I was elected in 2010 as the MP for one of the UK's most westerly seats, Carmarthen West and South Pembrokeshire, representing it until 2024. Back then my ambition stretched only as far as serving 2 4-year terms, as was the normal term length, but politics being so unpredictable, I was re-elected on 3 further occasions before the boundary changes and the voters eventually caught up with me. In that time I served on 4 select committees, as well as completing a stint on the executive board of the 1922 committee, the backbenchers.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?